Whoa, we're back. It's Rumor and Innuendo. I'm Dominic DeAngelo of SE Scoops Ad-Free Shows, and I am back with Robert Karpelis, WWE Creative _ish, after he was on assignment last week. Robert, how's it feel to be back? Are you getting your sea legs here already? How are you feeling?
I go away for one damn week for work, and the entire wrestling world decides to just explode.
Yeah.
Cool. When I left a week ago, it was coming off Clash at the Castle. We thought we were going to see the Wyatt Sicks. We didn't know what else was going to happen. Every day last week, massive news. Thank you so much, Dom, for covering it. Thank you for the guest hosts, including the Blue Meanie, who stepped in. And thank you to all of you for tuning in each and every day at noon Eastern for Rumor and Innuendo.
Yes, and you know what, Robert? I'm really interested to get your perspective on a lot of the news that broke. So we're going to kind of do an all-encompassing kind of thing, a little catch-up. But we're obviously going to preview Raw tonight, what they have on tap, and we'll review SmackDown a little bit as well. But I also want to get your perspective on AEW and the ratings. That mighty news, holy smoke! So let's get to it. But let's welcome some folks back in the chat here. Antonio Santos says, "Happy Monday! I'm ready for the Wyatt Sicks and a stoked for Jacob Fatu. Finally, yeah, me too. We'll talk about that for sure." Mike Malaro says, "Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about SmackDown this week. Friday's episode over-delivered." And yes, so Johnny Disco also says, "This queued up so early. Hopefully work slows down enough that I can tune in." Hopefully you made it, Johnny. So here we go, though, Robert. Yeah, where to start? I guess we'll start in chronological order. Raw last week. We saw the Wyatt Sicks debut as it was expected, but did you expect it to be as it was? Were you impressed? What did you think? Honestly, I have not gotten your thoughts on this besides a few text messages.
So wasn't sure what that was going to look like. It was kind of hanging over the entirety of the episode. And the fact that the main event was that triple threat for an opportunity at Money in the Bank. Are they going to interfere in that match? How are they going to make their presence known? And you saw the door, you heard the music, you had Nikki Cross, point to the back, and they did that single camera shot like a horror movie, haunted house.
Yes,
that you were walking into. I have never done the Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. Michael Yellow, still a friend of mine, but that is not my world. I'm not a big jump scare dude. And I'm worried if I'm in one of those situations and someone jumps out at me, I'm going to swing. And I'd prefer not to hit a poor stranger in a clown mask at an amusement park in Orlando. Just a good rule of thumb, kids, from your legal counsel. Try not to just, hit mascots at Universal or Disney. Any of the things. Maybe SeaWorld.
SeaWorld.
Some of those dolphins can get a little uppity, but you go into Gorilla, it's a chaotic mess. They went a little overboard with the blood.
Little bit, just
little bit. Like this was like, oh, people have been straight up murdered.
It's like Saw.
A little bit like Saw. I like that it wasn't spooky. It was eerie, but it was like the Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Which I remember was a big thing. When I was working at WWE, that movie had come out. There was a whole big thing with a lot of promotion. So I know that fits within the Triple H pop culture realm. A little bit of The Strangers, just this idea of lunatics in masks. You don't know what their motives are, but clearly they're out to destroy. They target Gorilla, which has been established on television the last several months as a part of the set.
Mm-hmm.
It used to never show Gorilla. That was a hard rule. That was like our one little sanctum to get stuff done. You don't show Gorilla. Now Gorilla, part of it, attacked. I also loved Chad Gable was the one that was attacked.
Yeah, explain that a little bit. But why do you think he was the appropriate person to be there?
It sends a couple messages. Number one, they're not baby faces. They're not heels. They're going to attack everybody. I would say Gorilla in 2024 is very much a babyface area because that's where Hunter is.
Yeah.
And Paul Triple H Levesque is looked upon favorably by the audience because of what he's been putting out there creatively and on screen. He has very much been a babyface. Gable, very much a heel.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was Chad who was attacked on the episode where it seemed like Alpha Academy were breaking ties with him was a masterstroke, because now you're furthering two different stories. The Wyatt story that the Wyatt Sicks are attacking everybody across the board, and that Chad Gable would not have been attacked if Otis and crew were there. So now Otis has this incredible guilt that he left in a huff, in a hissy fit, and because of it, Chad Gable was horribly attacked, and now Chad gets to get his hooks in him and pull him back in.
Yeah. And you were that charged up the memory of you sending that text and kind of putting that in my brain at the first time, because I didn't even consider that at all when that happened. And I was like, wow, that does make a lot of sense. Because if you look at what happened on that Raw, that breakup kind of felt a little underwhelming. Like Otis did like flip out on him, but it wasn't the moment that I think fans are really waiting on, because the breakup actually happened in a backstage segment and not in the ring.
Yeah.
In front of a crowd.
You haven't really gotten the full breakup, and I think this was to further it along a little bit more. The fact that Gable is competing on Raw tonight in a Money in the Bank qualifying match is pretty interesting.
Yes.
On NXT last week,
Yes.
a couple of surprises of people popping up.
Yes.
This TNA partnership, they're really getting their hooks in it. Frankie Kazarian was there. There was another surprise.
Yeah, somebody we might believe in. Is it?
If you say his name, he may appear.
He may appear.
Look, you have to admire that you have a guy in Joe Hendry who has made himself an attraction.
Yeah.
Guy was not on people's radars. He sort of followed the Matt Cardona school of get yourself over to the point where they have to do something with you.
Right.
And the dude was on NXT, and the NXT ratings delivered because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Further down the road with SmackDown on Friday, you didn't have the Wyatt Sicks appear. However, security was present throughout the entire evening.
Right.
So there was this idea that it was like this menace hanging over the entire broadcast. Are they going to show up? Are they not going to show up? Instead, they showed up at a Whataburger.
Right. Instead, what a shot that is too.
I look, I understand kayfabe is a thing of the past outside of my t-shirt available now at prowrestlingtees.com. But if you're in this spooky group, and we don't know who is necessarily in that spooky group, we've all hypothesized and theorized and guessed. If a fan comes up to you at a Whataburger and is like, hey, can I get a picture with these 6 random people who all happen to be sitting together? Maybe don't do it. Maybe just be like, look, we appreciate your support. I'm glad you believe in what we're doing here. But maybe the first official picture of us without our masks isn't at a delicious fast food restaurant.
Have you eaten Whataburger before?
Oh, my good man, I have. For a brief window of time, there was a Whataburger in Gainesville, Florida.
Oh,
and that was a real treat. And then when I was at WWE, Harvey Whippleman, downtown Bruno, picked up Whataburger for everybody and was walking around handing out Whataburger burgers. And that was a real treat. So, yes, I do enjoy a good Whataburger. I can only imagine what was going on in the bathroom there was probably worse than what we saw in Gorilla.
Oh, my God.
But, here's where we're at. Where I'm concerned a little bit is in the follow-up.
Yeah, what is the game? What do you think are the trepidations that they can run it into? And on top of it, what do you think they can do to make it work?
So the trepidation, number one, is we saw this with Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. Great return during that most recent return. But then that Mountain Dew blacklight match with LA Knight was brutal. Mm-hmm. Just storyline execution, not a great idea. These guys, we have yet to really see Bo Dallas on the main roster have a good match. In NXT, you can go back in the archive. There are matches worth going out and checking out. But on the main roster, we have not seen this version of Bo Dallas, who is captivating and interesting, and somebody it's like, my God, I got to watch that guy wrestle. I don't think Eric Rowan or Dexter Lumis are going to do much beyond their big, powerful guys. Fine. Rowan was probably the weakest member of the Wyatt family when it came to in-ring work. He's a tall guy, kind of limited. Nikki Cross is very good in the women's division, but they're going to have to hold her back from going after Liv Morgan because that opens up a whole litany of other stories. Joe Gacy, his matches with Dijak really impressed the hell out of me, but every match can't be a hardcore match. So I'm sure they're going to work within the limitations. The advantage they have, Dom, there's a guy they put in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yes.
Friends with Rob Van Dam, who has a fantastic podcast that drops every Monday at 4:20 p.m.
today.
RVDTV.com. Paul Heyman is very good at highlighting the positives and hiding the negatives. And I think there are, unfortunately, a lot of negatives with the performers that are in the Wyatt Six, and they're going to try to conceal it as best as they can. We've seen strong debuts in the past. We saw it with the Invasion. We saw it with Nexus. We saw it with Bray. You get this big week one moment, and then the follow-ups never really feel like it's anything other than they're just guys on the roster. So you have to hope that Hunter has mapped this out a little bit and we have a plan going forward. But I don't know that we really need them given how strong the Raw roster is right now. They may be more of a hindrance than a strength. There's an intrigue. They are in Indianapolis, Indiana tonight, and they have been targeting my my actual good friend Pat McAfee.
Hey.
So they showed up on the Pat McAfee show Thursday and Friday, little technical like teases. Going after Pat in Indy. That is some heat, brother.
Yeah, they could really do something with that. I'm pretty excited for tonight, to be honest, because there's some trip ups that they could potentially have. There's been a precedent set for some of that stuff when it comes to what Bray did and the booking decisions made there. The big factor is Vince McMahon's not there anymore, and there could be,
which is a shame because if you're going to attack Gorilla, right, you would have liked to have had Vince there.
maybe
any former production or creative person would love to have just seen that happen during the Vince era. Maybe figure out a way to get Kevin Dunn in there. He's usually hiding in the truck.
Yeah,
like you could have really wiped the floor.
Well, let me say that whole camera shot we got wouldn't have been there if Kevin Dunn was.
Oh no, would have had 17 cuts.
Yeah, would have been something else. But we mentioned his name on here before too. Rob Fee is back there with the character development stuff. So, and from how it sounded from reports from Fightful, that the people that they have taken out, and like you mentioned with Chad Gable and stuff like that, it was very specific of who was there and who was not there. So it seems like, just from a fringe perspective, that they have a pretty good game plan laid out for this group. And so I'm cautiously optimistic about what they can do with the Wyatt Six. And
I think cautious optimism across the board has been what we have seen in the Paul Triple H Levesque era, and it has been earned. Things don't necessarily happen in a thrown together haphazard way. SmackDown worked so well because they were telling one cohesive 2-hour story. It was the story of the bloodline, opening with CM Punk. Hell of a moment. Just, you put Punk on Fox, you gave him an open microphone, and this is not pipe bomb Punk. This is not going into business for himself Punk. This is company man CM Punk who's going to tell his story. The story of him and Drew McIntyre. We know Punk is not cleared. We know Punk's not going to be cleared for a little while now. We got to forward this story. Drew quitting on Raw, which, by the way, scared me because I have a fixed number of people I follow on Twitter.
Yes.
I have 294 people I have followed since day one. I've never varied in the number. I alter who I do and do not follow. But when I looked and saw 293, wait, did I offend somebody and they blocked me, which has happened before? Did somebody quit? Then I realized, oh, it's Drew in character dropping his X account, which is masterful. Love that. I think that's absolutely incredible. Glad it's back, by the way, because Billy in the CW news, there's a video on Drew's X account of him meeting Billy Corgan.
Whoa.
And you better believe, this is why Drew and I get along. He shakes Billy Corgan's hand. Billy Corgan smashing pumpkins. Drew McIntyre smiling politely. That is the only reason I want to meet Mr. William Corgan, who I know my former co-host, not a big fan of him, but Billy and I have no issue with Billy other than I had to sit through the first episode of his reality show and But yeah, the chance to do that Simpsons reference alone is worth it. But you put Punk out there. He's recounting the story, not recanting it. And then Paul Heyman came out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that moment where I think everyone as a wrestling fan was like, oh, yeah, no, wait. Those two haven't been on camera together in storyline since Punk's been back.
Yeah.
Yes, there was the Hall of Fame, but it was like, oh, something's about to happen. And it was absolutely beat for beat perfect. The idea that Paul was trying to protect Punk from Solo and this gang, and they're in Chicago, and Solo and the Tongans coming out and saying, you got to kiss the ring or else we're going to, straight up murder ball you. And Paul, the please take me with you, all these little beats, so well done. And then you had Cody come out to save him with a baseball bat.
Yep.
And you realize it's CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. And you're going, how did Tony Khan drop the ball here?
It's so true. I didn't even think about that, but it's so true.
They're just using the discarded toys that Tony Khan did not put forward. And you have this just white hot segment.
Right.
And then throughout the show, both triple threat matches for the Money in the Bank qualifying match involve the Bloodline in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So they have their hands in everything that is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that. Love that it was a way to get Andrade and Carmelo Hayes into that match.
Yep.
High flyers, guys who can deliver in a ladder match, guys who have never been world champion before, adding it in there with Jey Uso. Brilliant. Paul saying, hey, the rules that Roman Reigns put in place, you guys aren't following. And those rules make a lot of sense. And it explains why we've seen what we've seen since WrestleMania. Number one, you need to put Cody in check, but you're not allowed to take Cody out. Yeah. Cody has to keep that title until Roman Reigns comes back and claims it. Makes a hell of a lot of sense. Number two, don't touch Punk because it's a favor to me, and Roman granted me that favor.
Yeah.
It's like a little thing to make sense. Did you ever see the movie Thank You for Smoking?
Yes, I love that movie.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite lines, and I use this all the time. They're in a pitch meeting with Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
The idea is that they work for the tobacco industry, and he's trying to get smoking into a movie. And they're like, well, we can't do it in modern time because if they're smoking, somebody will be like, wait, why are you smoking? It's bad for you. And so they're like, well, we do it in the future in space. And then Aaron Eckhart's character, who's the tobacco expert, just goes, well, wouldn't it explode in an all oxygen environment? And like, oh, we'll just say, thank God we can smoke because of the whatever thing we invented. One line takes care of everything.
Yeah.
That one line with Heyman explains everything we've seen since the moment WrestleMania ended.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you needed.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of nuanced storytelling you never got in Vince McMahon world.
You couldn't.
He assumed everybody was an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
He assumed that the audience had the attention span of a gnat, and they need to be constantly reminded, and everything needs to be constantly dumbed down. Hunter has more faith in the audience, and the ratings and the quality of the show have demonstrated that. Obviously, the finish, you had already taken out Punk because Drew had attacked Punk off camera because he obviously can't be physically, touched, really. So you're not wondering, hey, where's Punk in this attack? Now it's 3-on-3. Corey Graves goes, the numbers are even. It's Orton, it's Kevin Owens, it's Cody going against the Bloodline, and then you have Jacob Fatu show up.
Yeah.
We all kind of wondered when that was going to happen. Perfect moment to debut him. Perfect debut for Jacob Fatu. He's mixing it up in there with Owens and Orton. He takes out Cody. He looks like a monster. Solo has not been doing this for very long, guys.
No.
Less than 2 years on the main roster. His understanding of facials, the fact that he was in the corner cowering and then had that smirk as soon as that camera was on him. Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Dude understands how to use every square inch of the screen, and that's the kind of thing you need in order to be a top star.
100%.
Everybody doesn't grasp that. The fact that he's able to do it is remarkable. Jacob Fatu, I have strong affinity for. Worked for him years ago with another company.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is weird. This never aired. We had Fatu. We were doing a storyline where Jacob Fatu was brought in and he attacked MVP.
Yep.
With Stokely Hathaway's group, and they took his 305 golden diamond studded necklace. I was the lawyer for this group on camera, and Jacob Fatu's sort of secondary manager, because he wasn't talking. He was just a beast to kill or a monster. So it's me and Stokely and Fatu cutting a promo on MVP, a great backstage promo. And then we had to drop it all because there was scheduling conflicts. So we weren't going to be able to use Fatu for the next show, and never got a chance to revisit it. Man. So it is hidden, guys, somewhere in the world. It's in the can somewhere. Never seen the light of day that I was Jacob Fatu's manager at one point in time. Hell of a lot of fun. Hell of a lot of fun. Just the way that when he showed up again, Corey Graves gave him a name.
Yep.
And it was the name we knew.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately is like, this guy's the craziest of the crazies.
Right.
Oh my God, we're all gonna die.
And he even mentioned his nickname too, Werewolf, like Samoan Werewolf, and he's
yes,
a werewolf in WWE now, and
he's the Samoan Werewolf because when the moon comes out, the animal emerges. And guys, that's good to be back. If you want that werewolf to come on out and emerge, have we got something to talk to you about? Because this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Visit BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. We saw that look on Solo's face when he knew that his werewolf was hiding and ready to be unleashed. And your gal's going to have that same smile once she sees you pop that Blue Chew, because Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring my triumphant return to Rumor and Innuendo.
Hey, Robert, thank you, Blue Chew. But something that wasn't too triumphant was the AEW ratings last week.
Oh, those ratings could have used a Blue Chew.
A little bit of a rise.
They could have used a little bit of a rise. Yes.
Robert, yeah. Is this the chickens coming home to roost? They had no
the chickens didn't come. The chickens didn't show up. To quote Eurotrip, the girls never came. The girls never came.
Yeah, give me your thoughts, man. This is Their excuse was lame. Olympic
Oh,
trials.
we will.
Okay.
Tony, I know you're watching. You got nothing else to do
Here,
on a
I'm gonna
Monday
just switch it on here.
at noon. No, wait, why am I just looking at Dom? That was weird. Don't mess with the screen. Tony knows he wants to see, but he wants to see what's on your head because you got Alt Jake in the comments
He's
who's just
wondering, is it a
asking,
condom?
"What is that? Is that a condom?" It is not. Dom is wearing a very nice headband.
Thank you,
Um,
Robert.
I'm in a weirdly polite mood at the moment. Normally, I would just be ripping on it. But I'm trying to talk to my good boy TK.
There you go.
Tony, buddy, old pal, old friend of mine. Something's up, and rather than use the old Meltzer excuses of it's summer, people go outside, they don't know, they're not watching, to say, well, usually our lead-in is the Big Bang Theory, but because it was Juneteenth and they were airing Black Panther, that is what hurt our ratings. Kids, we've been watching wrestling for a long time now. I've been watching Raw since it debuted. At no point in time did I think that the ratings on Raw were dependent on Walker, Texas Ranger keeping its audience.
Yes.
I used to watch the last 30 seconds of Walker, Texas Ranger. And every week it looked like the dumbest show ever made. It was always a guy who looked like Wilford Brimley throwing his hat down. Damn you, Walker, befuddled me again.
Got me.
Every week. I doubt on Monday Night Raw right now, people are going to tune in tonight because Law and Order SVU, and they just want to see, is Ice-T going to catch that guy? Guess what? He is. Or one of the 15 Chicago shows.
Yes.
Not the same audience. The only person I know who watches all the Chicago programming and wrestling is Jim Ross. And that may be because he fell asleep in front of the TV. People know AEW Dynamite is Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Wrestling fans understand appointment television. I just want to point out here, the wrestling old head said Silk Stockings. Guys, Silk Stockings aired after Raw.
Get it right.
That or La Femme Nikita. Come on, guys. As opposed to when it was on UPN, which was my all-time favorite, because we used to make Taz do the readings to promote the shows. And if you think me weaving in Blue Chew ads is seamless, Taz trying to tie what he just saw on TV to what's going to happen on this week's episode of Girlfriends.
Oh, my.
Amazing. Back to the ratings. No, the ratings did not drop 150,000 people because you lost your Big Bang Theory lead-in. Sorry, doesn't work. You advertised that the show was opening with MJF versus Roosh. Before I left, I kept saying, I don't understand how they're giving this away on TV.
You're right.
This should be a Forbidden Door match. They're building it up. They gave it 3 weeks of TV time. It's opening the show. It's commercial free.
Yep.
That's all the reason as a wrestling fan, an AEW fan who cares about matches is going to tune in. I got to see this. You are a week and a half, 2 weeks away from a big pay-per-view from Forbidden Door. These ratings are sound the alarm, emergency. You had Ospreay on the show. You had the Bucks on the show. You had Mercedes Moné on the show. You had Swerve on the show. You advertised MJF's return match, and the ratings fell out. It's stunning, and it's not something that can be easily explained. Or it was a blip, or they were up against heavy competition. I don't think there was a sports game that they were opposite that night. Boston had already won, and hockey. I don't want to jinx it, but tonight is Game 7, and those of you who truly know me know who I'm actually rooting for this evening. We're going to kayfabe that entirely. I'm curious what the knee-jerk reaction will be for Dynamite this week. They've already pulled the ripcord for a couple weeks from now, where they announced Blood and Guts without any opponents.
Nope.
And Dynamite this week, I did not think was a bad show. However, the main event was sorry, my finger slipped. I didn't mean to put that up on the screen.
Oops.
Kayfabe. If you're watching this on video, you understand. The main event was Claudio Castagnoli and Pac in a match that existed sort of in a vacuum for the Owen Hart tournament. It was just a wrestling match. It was a good wrestling match. It was just a wrestling match, not a storyline, not a big moment. Raw had a big moment. SmackDown had a big moment. NXT had a pretty big moment. I was away and I saw these things on Twitter. I didn't hear anything about Dynamite. I came back, watched it, solid show, incredibly missable show.
It was.
That's a problem. And the ratings bear that out. Dynamite used to be appointment TV. You had to see what happened. I will close on this, and then because we are out of time.
Yes.
For Collision, I didn't watch Collision, but I did watch the Jeff Jarrett interview that they clipped. I didn't see what they aired on Collision, but the entire 9-minute interview should have just been aired on TV. It was the single best piece of content AEW has produced in quite some time. It was Jarrett talking about his relationship with Owen Hart, how it tied into the loss of his wife, how it tied into his battle for sobriety, and why going into the Owen Hart tournament and winning the Owen Hart tournament is the single most important thing that will ever happen to him in his entire career. They made you care about Jeff Jarrett. They made you care about this tournament. They made you care about who wins this tournament, which is something that has not happened in the last few years. And this is me saying this on a Monday when we have been bumped from the Ad-Free Show's YouTube page because of that damn Jeff Jarrett.
Yesterday.
But it is worth going out of your way to check out that promo. Absolutely incredible. What was absolutely incredible was Mr. Dominic DeAngelo handling this show Tuesday through Friday last week while I was stuck on the road. Dom, on top of that, you've got a ton of other shows that you handle.
I got quite a bit. Yes. One of a Kind with RVD, like Robert said earlier, drops today at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on rvdtv.com. And then I also do Straight Talk with the Boss.
Do you think there's going to be a bump from the A&E doc that aired last night?
I'm very curious about that. Yes. We will be discussing that this week when we do record too, by the way, which I'm excited to do as well. Straight Talk with the Boss, though, drops tomorrow. And Greg Gagne and Magnum TA give their honest opinion on the Young Bucks, and it might raise a few eyebrows. So be on the lookout for that. Go to fourhorsemanetwork.com.
I could guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll see. It's pretty interesting.
They're great T-shirt marketers.
They are.
And yeah.
and
Greg Gagne is a body guy.
He is a body guy. So Robert, but the other show I produce happens to be Working Stiff, and you weren't there, but it was a Total F and Marks edition this weekend.
Really?
Yes. Because it was just Scott and Dan, and then I popped in for a run-in later on.
Love it. I actually joined Dan for the Patreon for Working Stiff. That came out this past weekend. It was a good chance for me to get my sea legs under me and delve a little bit into what happened in the world of wrestling, but I was glad I was able to do it here today, and I'm doing it every day, Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative _ish X account, the Working Stiff X account, the Dominic DeAngelo X account, the SE Scoops X account, the Podcast Heat X account. Podcast Heat is who makes this show possible, and on YouTube on Rumor and Innuendo, Working Stiff, and ad-free shows. The show also comes out in audio format, assuming Dom remembers to upload it wherever you get your podcasts, including iTunes, Spotify, and the like. So on behalf of the man with the condom on his head, Dominic DeAngelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hey guys, it's a hockey night.